What's crazy is we didn't even come up with a name for this podcast yet.
That's fine.
So for now, it's Sugar Dough Podcast.
It's the Sugar Dough Podcast.
But I think we should start with introducing over there on the right side.
Oh, yeah. Hello. Do I look at the camera?
I wouldn't.
No. Yeah.
No.
The cameras aren't here.
Yeah.
I'm Aliyah Marandis. I'm the founder and CEO of Sugar Dough. And then my beautiful team.
I'm Marco. I am the husband of the CEO of Sugar Dough. And I'm the COO.
And I'm Jazmin. And I'm family, cousin. And also I've had 17 different roles at Sugar
That's
Dough.
true.
Yeah, that's fine.
What are you now?
But now I'm like media producer, content
Mhm.
manager, social media manager, marketing lead.
Assistant.
Yeah.
HR.
Yeah, HR. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Kind of cute that y'all started with like family first, personal first.
Yeah.
There's the husband, there's the cousin, family, which I think it shows a lot about Sugar Dough work dynamics in general. It's like very homegrown, very organic, and very all over the place.
Yeah.
Just like family.
I feel like it kind of is like the foundation of how we run our business. Like the connection that we all have, like we're able to like work with each other in a different way because we're like super close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really feel too
You don't like us very much? You don't
not too
agree?
excited about it. No, it's pretty normal. I mean, the first 15 minutes of every call is just like roasting each other.
Yeah.
Although I can't do that with you as much because you just get mad.
I'm sensitive. I'm sensitive postpartum, okay?
But if the three of
Don't
us
mess
are on
with
a
me.
call, we're definitely roasting you.
Yeah.
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 Feels extra good to roast you.
I guess it can kind of just us and our family dynamic can lead into like why do we start this podcast? Like what's the whole purpose of this doing this?
Yeah, well, I feel like the start of Sugar Dough was very communal. I mean, it was just like me in my garage in the pandemic with neighbors coming to pack, with friends helping with the back end of the business. And that's how we gained our following, was just like, I think people liked that story of like starting from nothing, starting in the garage, and then 4 years later, we're in almost every Ulta Beauty store in the country. So I feel like we want to go back to like that communal aspect to that, and just like interacting with the customers one-on-one, like helping them with any trouble that they're having, teaching them how to sugar, like that felt so good. And of course, as you get bigger, you have to like think bigger as well, and maybe feel more like separated from the beginning of how it started. But we want to go back and kind of just like get that communal feel again, but also share too, like this crazy roller coaster ride of entrepreneurship, of being a creative, of being a small business, of being people of color in the industry. It's all very unique. And we've also connected too with other people in the space that have amazing stories.
Yeah.
And I think what inspires me the most is that we're not giant companies. We're like on the ground doing the work, really close to who we're serving, which means we're actually like the change makers of our culture.
Yeah.
Whereas people who are maybe like COOs of giant corporations, they're actually learning like a year later, 2 years later, what we're experiencing right now. So I think it's important to share like, hey, like us and the people that we're going to be interviewing are like doing the work right now. And you're going to see it later or not. You can't see it now. And that's why it's like, maybe our names aren't as big as some other companies, some other people, some other founders, but like this is where it's starting right now. So that's why it felt important to start a podcast.
Yeah.
You know, as you get old, as we got bigger, we wanted to, like, it felt like we had to separate ourselves from like the community that we're serving. But I think that's like a very common narrative. It's like the bigger you get, the more formal and like traditional business you have to get. But I think we've just seen that there's a pressure to do that. As you get bigger, you have more things, more responsibilities, but that actually is less fun. And I don't think we want to work in a company like that. It's been challenging to go through that transition in a direction that is away from where we are comfortable. We like going outside of our comfort zone, but where we're excited about showing up every day.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons that I'm excited about this podcast, or even just like speaking in this format and showing a bit about who we are behind the scenes, is we're not a product. We're a group of people providing a service to our customers, and the way that we've been going has been really product focused for a long time. Early, it was a lot about your story, it's a lot about how we got here. And then I think it's gotten more to a product oriented marketing channel for us. Our social media became more about the product all the time.
Yeah.
And actually, somebody said this to me a while ago and it kind of clicked. Is that like people don't open TikTok and Instagram to buy products.
Yeah.
They go there to connect, to be inspired, to feel,
To laugh, to cry, to feel something.
And we haven't really been able to provide, we haven't been focused on providing a connection with our product, with our brand in that way for a while. So I think we're trying to get back to that a bit.
Yeah. And I think like the like all the product reels and stuff that were done the first like couple years, 2 to 3 years of the business being born, is that's what was needed at the time, especially because the world was like shut down. This was a product that gave people a little bit of like freedom to still have their like, I want to remove my hair, I want to connect with my body, I want to do these things that they would normally go get done somewhere, and now they get to do it at home. And how do I do that? So like all of these reels that we had were like needed at the time. Now we're like living in a world where it's open, people are still sugaring, or they've like learned how to do it. We still have new people that are like, how do I do this? But it just felt like the natural next step to like, how do we humanize our brand again? Like, how do we show that there's like real people behind the scenes that are like making this happen? And also that are not huge names, even though you're like Forbes 30 under 30.
I mean, these Forbes stuff. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah.
You only hear about people who are Forbes 30 under 30 from them because you're not looking.
Because it's all over their socials. Yeah. There's someone I just saw on social like a couple nights ago. I was looking stuff up that said Forbes 30 under 30, and I was like, oh, it's this she's a like fitness influencer in Australia, and she's huge. And I was like, she's Forbes 30 under 30. I'm like, you're under that same
That's true.
category. That's crazy.
Yeah, actually this weekend we went to an event, a conference where Aliyah spoke, and there was another Forbes 30 under 30 person there. It's kind of interesting to see like success looks very different in different categories. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that. I just wanted to say that.
But were they like a big name, or?
I had never heard of them before.
That's a point though, because like these people that are Forbes 30 under 30 like started from the bottom. Now we're here. Like didn't like, you know what I mean? Like just came up with something and like she was fitness. How many people are doing fitness? How many people are making their own like thing? But it's like finding your like niche and like making it work. Yeah.
And we're also like the part of the conversation at this conference too is just like the world is in this like is just in a dire place right now, and so like there has to be change coming soon, and it's probably gonna be from young people or from people of color, just people that are different than who's already in charge
creatives
right now
too. Yeah, creatives just think so differently than
they're more like tapped in to
intuitive and
right now. Yeah.
So yeah, this is gonna be about our journey into entrepreneurship, our own backgrounds. I think we didn't really talk about what we did before this, but I think that would be interesting to hear about.
Yeah.
We want to also share like we are strangely connected to a bunch of people that are doing really interesting creative things that are in our network, that some of them we've grown up with that are now successful in very different parts of the world. So we want to bring them here to share their story, and also like behind the scenes of these things, we're actually like working with them and leaning on them for support in this. So I think it's a very communal, I mean, maybe a part of this is like community sounds like so when you say like, this is about community, but I think a lot of it is like we're serving a community of people through our business, but also like we lean on a community of people to be successful in the ways that we can. So
yeah. I've also been wanting to make sugaring like a community thing too. Like, how can we bring more community into sugaring? Yeah, like I said, it feels like the like natural next step. And I think like the other hope of this is to like inspire those people that are like kind of teetering with the idea, like, do I start my own like business? How do I'm creative, but I don't know how to like, just inspires people to like hear others and like, oh, I want to do that. Yeah. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
We just need a name.
we just need
a name.
Okay.
But I think...
Are we going to make it up right now?
Wax-a-mole?
Wax-a-mole.
That was...
And then we'll have like the actual like...
The whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
The whack-a-mole.
Wax-a-mole.
But it comes out, you know how like in Ellen, how they like pop out?
We'll just get scared.
Yeah.
You watch... I don't watch Ellen.
Are you about to roast me right now because I watch Ellen?
I was gonna say, damn, that sounds old. Isn't Ellen like 80 now?
But one, she's not 80.
Is she 70?
No, she's like 58.
No way. Here we go.
I'm looking it up.
How old is Ellen DeGeneres?
Oh, okay, well, excuse.
AI.
66.
Neither of us were right, but I'm closer.
We can roll it back.
We think we rolled the tape.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we'll do like an Ellen type of.
Okay, your suggestion for a name, and you have to think of one too for a podcast.
I gotta
name.
go first.
You have to go first. Or you can. Well,
I think Marco goes first.
Okay, Marco goes first. Yeah.
I think you should go first.
Yeah, this is. You know what?
This is your podcast.
It's our podcast.
You're paying for it.
You're right.
Sugarcast. That's mine.
Sugarcast? Okay. Sugarcast. I don't like it.
Me neither. I'm immediate shutdown.
Sweet nothings.
No,
It's better than mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're improving. Sweet talk?
You've got 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Marco's podcast.
Marco's podcast with his wife and cousin.
Marco and friends.
Marco and friends. So it's a Nickelodeon show.
Yeah, that works for me.
Oh my god.
Right here, Marco and friends.
That's our sign. We'll get like a
We don't need
neon.
And this is the picture. It's him with his hands in our face.
Our like ad picture is just Marco. Like.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Marco, why don't you tell us what your like background is, just a little bit?
My background is
Like
I've done
Sugar Dough.
I've done a lot of stuff before Sugar Dough. I moved to LA when I was 18 to do music. That didn't work out. That's I'll leave it at there.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, you should probably go back to school. I was like, yeah, okay.
Damn.
So got a degree in computer science, worked as a software engineer, moved into product management, moved out to Austin, Texas for a job. I worked with the CEO of a travel company for a couple of years and then got bored because corporate life was terrible. For many reasons I could get into another time. So I quit and started consulting with a lot of direct consumer brands in Austin, but the Austin market at the time was pretty small. It's like 2019. So I flew to New York like every month for 6 months and met a bunch of brands out there. And that kind of took me into the e-commerce world. Was the head of marketing for an e-commerce platform for a bit, and off of the end of that journey, started my own company called Drop Party. And we got to work with a bunch of interesting LA talent. Again, I got to come back out here to work with them. So we worked with Westbrook, which is Will Smith's production company. So we did a lot of stuff for
That's cool. I didn't know that.
the Fresh Prince store. Actually, the Fresh Prince store launched on September 10th, 2020, which is my 30th birthday, which was also the 30th reunion of that show, which means it aired on the day I was born. Random. It was
Wild.
kind of crazy. And it was also my favorite show as a kid. Of course, it was like everybody's.
Yeah.
Not special.
Did anybody
Yeah, I just
has
took that in. Just,
Okay, sorry.
This
Yeah, I
whole
won't-
time,
I
I'm
won't
just
rub it in.
watching Aliyah's face as you're like, anyway, continue.
And so I got to work with Will Smith's group, Patrick Mahomes, and did a bunch of like entertainment, pop culture merch drops, and ended up getting acquired in 2022. And right after that, joined Sugar Dough as a COO.
Willingly?
I joined Sugar Dough because there was a need. Aliyah was about to have our first child, and who was going to run the company for the 3 months she was on maternity leave? So
Not me.
Yeah,
That's sure was not me.
So I joined, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversations about that.
Yeah.
But
Save that for another time.
Yeah, that's another episode.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a whole episode in itself, I think.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. If we would be working together voluntarily.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
can't wait.
I love the debate.
um,
Tell us about your background, Jazz.
Yeah. Well, prior to working at Sugar Dough, which is a funny story about me getting a job at Sugar Dough, I'm a little desperate.
she messaged
That's
me.
a great lesson.
Hey, I will do anything. I just want to work with
Just
you
want to work with
guys.
my family.
Yeah.
So, what can I
Because
do?
it was first in customer service. We had like a customer service role open. Do you remember? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know you guys posted something, and I mean, Aliyah, you and I had our first kids, my only kid, but we had our first ones a month apart.
Yeah.
So around the time that you guys like put that, I don't know what it was, like it was on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
I was just like at that point where I was like, I need something other than being a mom, and I'm like ready to go back in the working space. But my background is a few different things. Like I worked in the food and beverage industry for a long time. I had my own bartending business that was booming really during like COVID, just because everyone was still trying to
Turn up.
I was like,
Drink their
where do I go?
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I worked in production for a little bit, and nothing along the lines of like what you guys were asking for, but I know like my capabilities, and I know like when I set my mind to something, I'm like, I'll figure it out. I'll get it done. I'll learn. I just give me a chance. Yeah, and you posted something, and I texted you, and I was like, hey, so
Yeah, you sent me a text. Sorry, I'm gonna jump in. You sent me a text,
This was-
and you're like, "Hey, I'll do anything." And I read this, and I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll talk to Aliyah or something." And then like I didn't say anything, didn't reply to you for like a couple days, and you're like, "Send me another one." You're like, "I'm serious."
I texted Imani and was like, do you think he hates me, or
That's just classic Marco not responding to
just
people.
doesn't leave me on
Oh,
red.
sorry. Okay.
Classic Marco.
Yeah. And Aaliyah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's our
I
weakness.
feel like that's more of an Aliyah thing. Leaves you on red.
So then I was like, Jazz, we don't know if this would be the right role for you, but we would love to work with you. So do you want to help me out as my assistant? And then we'll figure out something else for you as we go. We'll figure that out. And
Yeah. And it just felt so like divinely timed, because at the time there was a lot of shifts within Sugar Dough, no HR department. And I was like, I mean, I've managed people, I've built my own business in a completely different world. Let me just take a stab at this and like, let me build the HR department. And then we did that. And like,
We needed it.
we needed it.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just like for me, like I'm flexible and I can like mold. So wherever we needed. And then now being in this like producer role is just really combining. Also, not to mention my family is heavy in the entertainment industry. So I grew up around this world that we're like in right now. So combining like my background and what I'm like, now we are doing a podcast.
It just took like a year to figure out what it was going to be.
Yeah, but perfect
That's
timing.
Yeah.
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 And I think that's what don't think we realized until like you came on how we need somebody as a small business. The people that are most helpful and most successful on the team are those that can just do a million things and can mold, because our business changes like every month.
Yeah, really.
And on a call, like Marco has another idea or I have another idea, and then we like pivot because like we also don't have time to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So that was something where whenever we like changed your role, or you're like, hey, I think should be doing this.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, thank God we have somebody that is okay with that, because not everybody is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it fun too, about being in this space.
I think there's something to be said too about, because working with family can also be, it can go really wrong as well, you know, like, and I think like if you're building this kind of relationship and we're like a trusting relationship where it's like, you know, I'm always gonna like have your back because I believe in like you, sugar dough, of course, but like you and like, anyway, we're gonna get emotional.
Yeah. I was like, wait, hold up. Too soon. There's gonna be tears in every episode.
I know.
100%.
But family or not, like having the person that's in your business that's like you 100% trust to like go along for the ride.
Yeah.
That's just there to be a part of every single thing. Like you need someone.
I was just about to go find the email, but I think basically what I remember you saying that was interesting to me when you're like, I want to work with you guys, was like, I know how to keep the line between doing my job and being a family member. And like, that was something that I think now the line is maybe blurred more than when you started, but that was the thing that Aliyah and I talked a lot about, was like, we had grown and we'd hired people, but we didn't know, not that we didn't trust them, but there's a level of like ease that comes with family, knowing like, this is how we grew up, this is how we carry ourselves, and you could enter this job with that level of ease. And that made it easier for us to be able to like adapt with you more fluidly.
Also, I think, because I want to talk about Shark Tank. I think at the time, like we didn't know at the time. I mean, this was almost a year and a half ago, but we didn't know at the time. And whatever anyone wants to believe in, the universe or a higher power, whatever that means for them, but like, or us, I don't think we knew at the time, but this was always supposed to be what we were doing. Having these kinds of conversations, sitting on this couch, like, and I think that wouldn't have happened had the three of us working together not have happened.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Shark Tank?
Yeah, because it's also tied into like all this.
Yeah. To level set, should talk about the timing of like.
I think so.
Okay, so I just came from a conference, speaking at my first conference a few days ago. And I was so busy that I didn't check my email. And then 2 days ago, checked my personal email. For some reason, it was sent to my personal email that they are going to be airing Sugar Dough on a Shark Tank episode. And it was very much like 50-50 whether like all the effort that we had put in June was going to come into fruition in the form of like an episode, because it's a lot of work to prep for Shark Tank. A lot goes behind the scenes, and it was also like very crazy time in our personal lives.
Yeah.
And I think like, it's interesting because Jazz, you were like just in it. you were.
You guys
in it,
left.
like you were.
Oh, you mean for Shark Tank?
Yeah, you just have been like in this process. Like you've been part of like the whole. You saw everything, like beginning to end. But anyway, very exciting that we're going to be on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Because we've been wanting this exposure for Sugar Dough and for sugaring in general. And just like we love how we operate the team and the company, and want to share that to more people. So great organic exposure. Now the process of Shark Tank was interesting.
Yeah. So the background, which Aliyah didn't like, Shark Tank had reached out.
5 months after I'd launched Sugar Dough.
Yeah, because you've been going viral on TikTok.
Yeah, Shark Tank, one of the producers had DM'd me and we had been in conversation. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, again, like that first year, everything was like so many confirmations, just like that I was on the right path.
Yeah.
And then we got into some legal fun.
Yeah, and like Shark Tank, to protect their assets, makes sense. They're like, we're not going to pull people into the show while you have any like active litigation or any active like anything.
And
so we
something
just
super small, and we're like, oh, that sucks. That's something like really tiny. We can't be on the show. But it took 2 years to finish all that legal stuff. And then I reached back out, and they're like, great, let's be on the show. Our business was in like a totally different place than like 5 months into the business.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So like, the business has grown a lot. I think we had launched an Ulta by that point. And so all this is good. Aliyah's been prepping for Shark Tank. We're planning to come out here to LA to like film it. And we already had our first son. Our second son is on the way. He can be born in March. And at the end of February, I tore 2 ligaments in my ankle playing basketball. And I couldn't walk. So then I didn't get surgery right away. Our son was born. And then I was like, I need to get surgery. So I got surgery in May. We were filming in June. And
I was 2 months postpartum.
yeah.
Meanwhile, they're both out of like the office, and I'm like, okay, here.
Yeah, so Jazz is like trying to just handle everything. I'm in bed with like my foot up, like in a cast for 3 weeks. I can't move. I'm on drugs, so I can't think.
Financially in the business, we're like, okay, are we gonna survive right now? Because of we had to expand so quickly into Ulta that we essentially like ran out of money. There was
many times.
Yeah, but we're at a point where like, how are we gonna continue on?
Yeah.
Okay, but there's these good things happening, but it's weird that all these, for example, we won an award, Black Owned Business of the Year at Ulta Beauty. That same week, I was like talking to producers at Shark Tank. But then also like had a baby, you broke your, or you had your basketball injury.
My foot.
You essentially broke your foot. And so we're like, what is happening, God? Like, do we continue with Sugar Dough, or do we stop? Like, all these good things are happening.
We were kind of like, let's just throw in the towel and like give up on life. And that's like literally we were
done.
And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Jazmin was, yeah. You're like, no, I have you can share like what you're feeling and observing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm like in the middle of the chaos. I like see all the chaos, but because my chaos looked a little bit different, you know, I had my one not dealing with a broken ankle and a second born. Yeah. But I think I was feeling, I mean, this is prior when we were at the Ulta convention and we won the award. There was something about that like trip that just felt really like, man, there's more we're supposed to be doing. Like there's just Sugar Dough. Like I was feeling that before we won the award, and we were like having a conversation about money and like there's always a way. We will figure it out. Like talking ideas, figuring out what we can do, and then we won the award. And then like I don't know, a month later, financial things kind of worked out. And one of the ideas we talked about, and everything just started to kind of like fall into place. And I was like, see, like I'm feeling it, it's feeling good. And then like it just kept happening that way, where like confirmations kept coming up.
But also challenges, because then I had surgery. I'm in bed. Aliyah is not happy because our older son has like lost any sleep training. It's like gone. And he's jealous of the new baby. So
he's also 15 months old. And so, like, for those who have had 2 under 2, almost Irish twins, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I thought 2 under 2 was, like, a cute little saying. It's not.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why I thought that. I was like, oh,
were you
2
pregnant when you thought that? That's why. You're,
2
like,
under
hyping
2.
yourself up.
I was like, oh, no, this is, like... We are in the depths of hell, 2 under 2. Got it. Okay, cool. So, sleep regression from our first child.
So then about a week into my surgery, she's like, I'm done. And she just packed the bags and took the boys and left me in Austin alone. She was like, I'm done. I'm going to my mom's because she couldn't handle it. Also, like,
it was not your fault.
Yeah.
It was like the boys weren't sleeping. Like, I was probably getting a couple weeks prior to filming on Shark Tank, like an average of like 3 to 5 hours of sleep uninterrupted. I mean, no, interrupted.
Yeah.
I was getting 3 to 5 hours of sleep interrupted a night for like a month straight.
Yeah.
And then you had your injury. You had a 6-week recovery.
Yeah.
Right?
So I had my friend move in.
There's no way that I could do that. I mean, we would do it.
No, you can't. Like, nobody can do it. It's not. I
can like feel Tom out of my peripheral. I'm already angry at him. We're not even in this situation.
But I would go into the room with like the babies in my arms and like I'm so out of it.
And I'm just sitting there. I'm sitting there in bed. I'm like watching TV. I'm like on Oxy. I was like, like smiling, and she'd come in and like pause the show, like try to like hide behind the blankets. Like, I hope she doesn't see me because I'm enjoying myself right now. And she's like, like makeup streaked, tears. She's mad. There's like one kid screaming, another kid biting her nipple. It's like
I got a taste of it because she came to LA.
Yes.
Went to her mom's, and I drove over there and was like, what can I do?
And then that night, so I get to LA early because we film it 2 weeks later. Also, they had moved up my film date. It was first gonna be in November, I think.
Yeah.
And then for the second half of their filming segment, and then a month before, they're like, actually, we moved you up to June. And then he had a surgery, and then we left early.
Yeah.
Jazz was there seeing the like craziness of just having a newborn and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
And that was definitely one of that period of also trying to prep for a national television show while my brain's not completely there, while I can't emotionally regulate.
Yeah.
So glad I had family there, like the woman of support, my mom, you, my sister Rihanna, my other sister. Like that, I would have gone insane. But it was definitely like the lowest of lows, like right before going on to Shark Tank.
And let's not forget to mention, like, mamas, like our brains, like, are not even closer to 2 years old is when you start to feel somewhat like yourself again, and your brain starts to kind of just work in a different way again. So not only did you have one who was one and still kind of go in the middle of that, but then you had a second round.
Yeah.
And so your brain was like
extra
I'm
mush.
sorry.
Yeah.
That was Marco's fault. 100%.
No.
Yeah, so I remember like it'd be like 3 a.m. like when our 1-year-old like just was screaming in my ears that I'd like have my AirPods in and just trying to like rehearse, like trying to practice like Shark Tank, just like hours walking down the streets at 4 a.m. just to get him to sleep, and like but also trying to like prep for this. So
Yeah.
That was the energy going into it. Good people around, but the circumstances were really tough. Just as a new mom and Marco was trying to help as much as he could, but couldn't because you needed help. Somebody needed to take care of you, so you barely had the help you needed. But anyway.
So then you went on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And we will let you see how that turns out.
Mm-hmm.
But afterwards, I think you were pretty like wiped out.
Well, because like right before, and there's like a video of this too. Zima, we're able to bring Zima on set, the younger one, and I'm breastfeeding him, and they're like, we have, it's time to go, like it's your time. I'm like, okay, hold on, I'm just like trying to breastfeed, and then like we go on, I pitch, I come off, and I think I'm just like disappointed with my performance.
Yeah.
As somebody who, I like to get a lot of practice in, like anytime I took an exam in school, I would like study for hours and hours, and like that didn't happen because of their circumstances, and for me that felt like it was reflected in my performance. And so I just took it really hard on myself, But I remember, like, regardless of like what happened, you texted me something. Do you
Me?
remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what you texted me?
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember word for word, but I remember. Was it when I was like, just being on the show is a feat within itself?
Mhm.
Yeah. Like just being on Shark Tank alone is like a huge. I think I sent this before you went on. It was like, doesn't matter if we get a deal or not. Being on the show is going to get us that brand awareness that we're like looking for anyways. Yeah.
And hopefully the right people, like,
Hopefully the
come
right
to us.
people,
And if
yeah.
not, that's like, yeah, just preparing for this was good in itself. So that night, Jazmin had already prepared like a celebratory dinner. So we had like a great dinner with like family, like, people that have been involved. And yeah, I was like, thank God that's over, because that was a lot. That was like the toughest period of my life.
And I think like for right after that, like even because your performance, you felt your performance wasn't good. I mean, I didn't get to see it, you do it, but so I'll be seeing it for the first time too. But I think the general feeling was like, well, what didn't work out. That was just a waste of our time and energy.
Yeah.
Like we did all of this, we went through all this hardship, we flew to LA, we prepped, we spent all the money it takes to like get all the equipment and everything we have to do to like make our presentation on Shark Tank good.
Yeah.
And then you came off like, well, I don't feel like I did a good job for TV.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was almost like embarrassing, like everything that happened for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one of those situations when you're like, you do something, no matter what it is, like let's just say you're like going on a date with someone and you're like replaying the whole night over and over. Like, did I say this right? Did I do this right? Do I text them? Do I not text them?
Even if it goes well.
Even if it goes well.
It's just like.
Yeah. That was what I had to really, I remember, thanks to that just reminded me of like, put me back at that week after. It was just like replaying, literally like a movie, like all the characters, all the sharks, everyone who was there. And I was just like, oh, I wish I could have done that. And so it was just like such a good personal practice to be like, shut it off.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm making it worse. Like I'm making the situation
I feel like that's like our common practice in our relationship is I'm like, hey, you're making this harder on yourself.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I mean, it's part of, I think if you've done things, if you worked hard and you've experienced success before, when you relate like your hard work to the outcome and then you feel like your hard work wasn't at the level that you would have liked it to, you're like, well, the outcome is not going to be the thing I want it to be. So I think like now we're learning how to like let things go and just know like things are supposed to play out the way they're going to play out, and that's okay.
Which fast forwards to like, you did let it go. We all just were like, let it go. Yeah. And then 2 days before we're about to film this pilot for our podcast, we get an email that it's going to air. And it, again, just confirmation of like, you filmed, you had your thoughts, then you get an email months later, and now we're here, and now it's like,
it feels good.
It feels good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad, like, I think, we're just all in the space where we're excited about what this could mean for the brand.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you had asked me, like, 4 months ago, I'd be like, I'd actually be happy if this just, like, was erased from everyone's memory and wasn't publicized on national television.
Yeah.
But it'll be good. I hope people get to see, just, like, real life, like, the real life of being a business owner, being a mom as a business owner, and like everything in between. So
which kind of can like.
Well, actually, one thing that I'm thinking. Oh my God. One thing that I think was an interesting insight for me is like you going on Shark Tank and like the process of prepping for that, whatever, is like in some ways you're like, I am going on to present my business and my hard work and like show off what I've done. And I think it felt like I'm doing this for promoting myself. But I think what I learned from the Shark Tank experience is that But yeah, some of my probably my hands.
No.
I might have edits to what you say, but continue.
I might have edits.
I'm talking about what I learned.
Yeah.
Okay.
You talked about me.
What?
You said that you learned that I was promoting this.
I'm saying like me watching the experience of like going on a show where it's like promoting yourself, like you want to like show off the brand that you built. The feeling can be I'm showing this off and I'm in control of the narrative. I'm in control of how this is going. But I think going on Shark Tank, and this is not just specific to Shark Tank, this is for like going on any platform, whether it's somebody else's podcast or whatever, is that like you are presenting what you are doing in the context of somebody else's show. So we were on somebody else's show.
Yeah.
Which means, and this is like going into the experience of Shark Tank, is like Shark Tank is a TV show. There's like, it's produced, there are producers, there is like big money behind it. All the people on stage are billionaires.
Yeah.
Like everybody there has an agenda to make themselves look good and to like, and Shark Tank is an asset that they have, which promotes themselves. And you're a player in their show.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big thing for me, which was another part of like why we were doing this, is that we want to own our own narrative.
Yeah.
We want to showcase Sugar Dough in a way, in the brand that we're building, and our own, who we are, in a way that shows us in the light that we want to be seen in, not through the lens of another organization, which I don't know, we haven't seen what Shark Tank, how it's going to show us, but I don't think it's going to be bad, but it's going to be Shark Tanky. And I mean, everybody knows what a Shark Tank episode looks like.
For a reason.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you want to edit me down? And
No. That was you were talking about the general you. No, I totally agree. I think that was like what I came out of it. I was like, okay, right, television, and I think, I go into situations a little too naively sometimes. And I think this is one of the situations where it's just like, oh, it's just gonna be like, me talking about like how much I love the business and talking about my customers and talking about like how it was such a creative process for me. And then it was like, oh yeah, but we didn't talk about any of that on the show. We actually talked about the parts that were like, vulnerabilities and my own personal vulnerability of just like being postpartum was just like, felt like it was, I felt that a lot during the prep and filming. So yeah, I think it was really good learning for all of us on like, okay, what do we want to like, how do we want to, I guess like when we want to control our own narrative.
Well, we don't want our narrative to be edited out.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Like I think what we want is to show Sugar Dough in its entirety. Yeah. We're a small family-run business. Yeah. We love each other. We want to be of service to the customers that we have.
This is our first time business, or this is my first business that I've ever run, and so it's gonna be a journey. And there's so much context to what people don't see behind like our Instagram posts or what they don't see behind like a Shark Tank episode. There's like so much more beyond that. Yeah. And it's really good and important for people to get context.
Yeah. I think especially with like a business that has a product, like the people behind the scenes get lost in it. And like, it's so good to like see all the people that are like doing it and like all the stuff that goes into making content, all the stuff that goes into like our marketing things, our financial things, like all the things. Oh God. I know, but like those things are real. And like how many people who are trying to start their own business are like, how am I going to do this? Yeah. With this amount of money.
Yeah. I just want to say, hello camera. I just want to say if you're trying to build a company, you're probably going to be running out of money all the time. Like, I think every time we look at a cash, we're like, that's not looking good. That's not good. And that's every single week. It looks like we're going to die, but you just keep pushing forward.
And how many companies have you talked to where like it looks beautiful, pristine on the outside, and then you have a call with like the CFO and you're like, oh God, I do not want to be in that situation. Actually, I'd rather be in our situation.
Yeah, like, oh, actually it's not too bad over here.
And in the end, it's like, what business do you want to run? Yeah. Like, if you decide you want to build a company like Sugar Dough and serve customers like Sugar Dough's customers, it's going to be hard. And that could be if you want to build a finance app, or you want to build a hair removal product, or you want to build a creative agency. It doesn't matter what it is. You're going to experience the hardship. So you pick what you want to do and you work through that hardship. And as long as you believe in yourself and you're working hard, you're going to make progress. I'm not going to promise success, but
And like, I mean, so with this podcast, we'll talk about like our business. We'll talk with other like founders and creatives and like their process and like the behind the scenes of their business. And like the great thing about our product right there, the cute little jar, is that there's conversation even around that, like around sugaring and like things you don't even like think about really until you're like, oh wait, there's conversation around this, like a body hair and intimacy. Yeah.
Well, I think there's like, we're always gonna have a little sugaring segment at some point, or like before or after.
Yeah.
And get people who haven't sugared before, haven't heard of sugaring before, would have never touched sugaring, onto the podcast and like just live expose them to sugar waxing. So
yeah.
Excited about that.
Yeah. We'll have like guests on, talk about like their like journeys into business and creative spaces. And one episode I want to talk about Aliyah's like journey into like becoming sugar mama. So we'll have a guest that's kind of like helping us, or that was like along that journey. And then some other guests we'll have on are just some pretty like big names and like some other businesses. Yeah. And they'll come on and like share their journey. That's the tease, just Marco.
Just talk to our friends.
God, it's just like a little like shoulder tease.
Exactly.
Like just to, you don't need to take the whole shirt off.
Yeah. Show a little hairy armpit.
Show a little hairy. You got that.
Yeah, it's true. We'll share that later.
But yeah, if with the podcast, if there's like any topics or anything that you want to hear about, you can always go to our socials and comment on our any of the reels we have. DM us, and we'll maybe feature it on an episode.
Well, since
Oh God, we are going back to the camera.
You would actually rather talk to the camera than
this is like, you know, when something crazy happens in the office, no, like this is me, but as like I'm just insane.
I didn't understand a word you just said.
I don't think he did either.
That was
a joke quote.
No, but see the people. You think that was a Trump quote?
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't even hear that.
I said, I don't think he did either. You're like, I don't think he knew what he said. You know what I'm referencing?
Sorry. What is happening?
Do you know what I'm referencing? When Biden was like, wait. When Biden was, stop looking at the camera. When Biden was like saying all these things that didn't make sense, and then Trump was like, I don't think.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't
even think you know what he's saying.
Yeah, that's what just happened. You were Biden.
I was Biden? This is not Trump. She was Trump.
Dang, this got political real quick. And excuse me?
She's the one who said you're the Trump quote.
No.
It was a combo.
Did you say me?
It was a combo. Yeah, me and you. We'll rewatch that later.
Roll the tapes because I hate it.
You actually just said a Trump quote.
He did.
You did.
What did I say?
I don't even think he knows what he said.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the actual quote.
That's the actual quote.
Oh.
So
there you go.
Closeted.
Canceled. All of us.
Yeah. We will not be showing any of that.
Well then.
Sugar Dough Podcast, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Thank you. We love you.
We'll catch you next time.
Yeah.